If this gets 100,000 views, we will post the footage from the anti-mask rally.
100,000 views?
Yes.
It's ambitious.
I don't really want to post it.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Diana. I'm the D of MJD and NYC. This is
Mark.
He's not the M of MJD and NYC.
I'd be that joke.
This
That's Agnes.
Okay, so as you can tell from the title of this video, we are going to be talking about our experiences at an anti-mask rally. I feel like we should put in some disclaimers.
Retweets are not endorsements.
I guess these are just our opinions. This is what we saw. We didn't purposely go to the anti-mask rally.
Yeah, it happened at Union Square and we were just walking through the farmer's market.
So we weren't even endorsing it by going. You know what I mean? Like we weren't even being curious about it. Like we were just walking past it, and we had a few interesting interactions that we want to know what it's like going to an anti-mask rally and why things like this are so dangerous.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just that I think we read, but we're certainly no experts on anything that would be said, and do your own research.
Yeah, do your own research.
And follow accredited professionals and experts in the space.
Yeah, that's a perfect disclaimer.
Thanks. Asterisk.
You want to start with what caught our attention, what we talked about, etc., etc.
Okay, so we went to Union Square, and there's usually this farmer's market on the weekends, and we're walking around, but by the fountain, there's this mass gaggle of people, and there are all these flags, and it sort of started when we saw a man raising a Confederate flag.
Yeah. But also the
Vax guy.
Yeah, so the flag was probably the first thing we saw, and then we were
raised
what?
really high, and I was just
Mark was
you shouldn't see a Confederate flag anywhere.
Yeah.
But it was particularly shocking to see it in New York City.
Yeah.
Because whereas it's more popular, I guess, in the South, it's really uncommon to come across a Confederate flag in New York City.
And then I didn't know what I thought it was, but I didn't realize it was an anti-mask rally until we saw we saw two people dressed up in Halloween costumes. Yeah. I would say one of them was dressed up as Bill Gates, and another one was wearing a mask.
Had this set up where there was a chair, and they had a 5 or 6 year old boy that they were basically using as a photo op prop.
Yeah.
They sat him down, and
they had a giant needle.
Yeah,
fake needle.
Yeah, this guy had a giant fake needle that he was holding and delivering this vaccine to this child, and the guy who was delivering it had this mask with dollar signs in his eye sockets and this big hook nose.
And it was green, maybe?
What?
Was this mask green?
Yeah, it was a green, goblin-esque thing.
Yeah, he had a top hat.
Yeah, he had one of those classic Monopoly man, capitalist kind of top hats, and
his hair was curled in the way that Orthodox Jews.
And Diana had come up to him asking, sort of faking naivete, what are you supposed to be? And I think his response was the global pharmaceutical finance companies or something.
Yeah, he was the big man of money.
Yeah, anyways,
symbolizing capitalism.
Yeah, very weird roundabout say Jew. You could have just, been upfront about it.
Yeah.
So
that was the first weird thing that happened, and then we were should we go? Should we stay? And the man holding the Confederate flag was a little further away, up the steps, and the flag was half a Confederate flag, half the normal US flag. So we were oh, let's just see why he's holding a Confederate flag.
His response was that it was the North and the South uniting to fight the government,
yeah.
But
and then
the North and the South are united, and they're united by that one U.S. flag, and the Confederate flag has nothing to do with political Southern organization in the contemporary period.
It was all so frustrating, but that was so frustrating for me because I kept trying to be that's not what the Confederate flag means. You're just inciting hate and violence, and you're symbolizing this part of history that is so horrible and devastating, and you're not even your logic doesn't even make sense. I was just what? Obviously that's not what the North and the South mean. He also was dressed up in a revolutionary outfit.
True. Yeah, he was wearing a Minuteman, Massachusetts kind of. He was all over the place,
screaming at us. He was just walk away, like just walk away. And so that I think drew a bit of attention to us because it seemed like, at least at first, we were the only ones there who weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
after us, a few people.
Yeah, after that, a few people came, but after that, people, like, tried to, like, jump in and...
Like, so many people were trying to, like, speak and persuade us. Like,
yeah, just, like, we met, I would say, three other characters. So, there's a woman who came from China, the woman whose parents are Black, and the man who yelled at you, who then apologized, and then there was a little kid.
Oh yeah, the 12-year-old poor kid.
And then there also was one other man was with me arguing with I think the Confederate flag guy or the woman from China, but he was the only guy who was like, yeah, like what you're talking about doesn't make sense, stop yelling at her, etc.
Yeah, I think that, like, some of their, I guess, key takeaways were that COVID is either entirely a hoax or it was extremely exaggerated in order to cause, like, political and economic turmoil that presumably would lend a victory to Joe Biden, and sort of, like, blaming that.
Yeah, one woman was, like, very adamant about how all the small businesses were closing and people were losing their jobs, and she was obviously, like, very hurt by that. She also was someone who, she was like, I'm Black and my family were slaves, and making us wear a mask is making us slaves again.
We're not going to, like, correct her opinions.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I guess we'll just say what everyone said. Those were her words, obviously. And then the woman from China was talking about how she fled communism, basically, and she was misguided because she kept saying we should hold the Confederate flag because we shouldn't erase history. Like, she kept being like, the Holocaust Museum, like, we can't erase the Holocaust Museum. So that's when I tried to explain to her.
Oh, she referenced the Holocaust Museum?
Yeah, did I tell you that?
No, but those were like, yeah, not at all.
Yeah, so I was like, I'm Jewish and I understand that you can't erase history, but waving the flag around and almost like saluting to it and worshiping it is not remembering it and learning from your mistakes and acknowledging the past.
Like, I want evil symbols to be in a museum for remembrance,
yeah,
right? But I don't want a Nazi flag. Like, I want a Nazi flag in a Holocaust memorial as an educational artifact and, like, a historical artifact, and, like, hey, this flag resembles evil, but, like, I don't want it flying in Union Square.
Exactly. Like, if someone came up to me with a Nazi symbol on their head, I would be like, you're gonna kill me.
Yeah, totally.
Like, you're literally gonna kill me. And then the third thing was, like, people are getting their information from different places, because there was a lot of, like, I read the facts, I read the statistics, and their sources just weren't credible.
I think it's hard to say because, like, you know, candidly, my sources and reading as well, like, it's all secondary information. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I never really, actually, up until after meeting these people, I never read through, like, primary source of, like, NIH, like, clinical trials or whatever else. And I really don't like speaking on, especially, like, political, I mean, this shouldn't be political, but in general, like, I don't like speaking about current events unless I feel equipped with information. But that didn't seem to faze them. And I think that made it almost more challenging because they were so married to their existing fact base, but also did not really know what that fact base was or is. And so, like, there's nothing really to respond to. And just a few things that I kind of, like, you know, out of my head to, like, okay, maybe that sounds reasonable. Like, an example was they were, like, comparing the size of a viral particle versus a mask and saying, like, how, oh, it's not possible that, like, a mask protects you from this because viruses are this big and masks only protect up to, like, this unit. And, you know, I can't say anything because
you don't know
I wear a mask, because that's, like, CDC guideline, and, like, people I trust say to wear a mask, and like, I didn't do my own original research because I didn't think that was, like, important enough. Like, if the CDC is saying that, I'm just gonna listen. But doing it afterwards, like, it's kind of pick and pull information, because from what I gathered anyway, on the one hand, like, it's true, the virus itself is a lot smaller than what your mask is able to protect against, but what's missed in that is that a virus, like, needs a host, and a virus doesn't travel on its own. So, like, what the mask actually needs to protect against are respiratory particles that host the COVID virus, and those particles are big enough that the mask protects against.
I didn't know that.
That's, like, again, I'm pretty sure that this is correct, but that might be wrong. I'm really embarrassed.
There's, like,
I think it was, like, sorry, go ahead.
This is not like super relevant to what you're saying, but I kept being like, obviously the mask isn't 100% effective, but if it protects you like even 1%, why not just wear the mask?
I think it's like tied up in this larger cultural war. Like it's almost like if the libs feel this way, then like I must feel the opposite no matter what.
Yeah, because I feel like the common theme with all of them was like this like defiance towards authority telling you to do something.
Totally.
So like wearing a mask, having a Confederate flag, like censorship, you know, like this pushback against like the CDC and like this pushback against, you know, the governmental decisions, which
and scientists.
Yeah, that's not how the government works. They have to read
the social contract.
The social contract. It's either Hobbes or Locke.
You got it's 50-50, but you got it.
I'll do a quick Google search. So my takeaway with this was Mark and I were in a place of privilege. I'm saying we, but you can stop me if you don't agree with anything, where we kind of went in and we were like, we want to have calm conversations and we want to listen to you. Not really the Confederate flag guy, because ultimately like it was like he was like screaming at us, but the three other people, the lady who talked about her family being black, the little boy who was talking about research, and the woman from China, ultimately they were all like, we really appreciate you not yelling at us. And the lady called me reasonable at one point, which I was just like, that's so funny because we completely disagree. But a guy yelled at Mark and came back and apologized and was like, I'm sorry I yelled at you.
Yeah, he was like, I'm sorry, I got like really passionate. I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think that like almost showed me the nature of the beast, right? Because this isn't like a public hearing with like written and oral evidence and like witness testimony and like expert deliberation, right? Like this is really like just emote like political rally like cry and like to be fair, I will say that this definitely goes for like both sides of the spectrum of whatever conversation you're having. The fact that he was like, I wasn't offended and like candidly I didn't care, but the fact that he was like, oh, I'm sorry I'm yelling at you, like I didn't mean to, I was just like whatever, it just shows me that's all like a hype train.
I also think that ties back to the earlier point of polarizing and like pushing back, kind of being like, okay, I'm really upset about this, so I'm just gonna say everything that I know and feel, and there's such a like blocker between the sides.
Totally.
But again, I want to reiterate that, I don't even know how to explain this, like I just feel like we were able to have this conversation in a really calm way, and that doesn't mean that we sympathize with these. Like I don't want to come across as like an anti-mask sympathizer, but I think it was
totally.
The way that we were having these conversations, I think, was like the first time that I actually got an insight to like why people are anti-maskers instead of just hearing about people who are super radical. I feel like everyone except the man holding the Confederate flag, who was, you know, just like being a really awful person, and it frankly is unacceptable that he was doing that and behaving in that way. The other people like had real grievances that they were really upset about, and like I don't think they ever heard our side until we took the time to be like, I hear what you're saying, but this is like another piece of information that you can consider before you say that we shouldn't censor the Confederate flag without really knowing what it means.
I guess I'd also caveat that their opinions based on like whatever selective fact they choose. Like you have the right to your opinion, let's say, right? But like if your opinion is based on false evidence, then
you don't
that's
really
like your opinion is essentially worthless to me anyway. And so I understand like, oh, like I know what they're feeling, or like I get what they're saying, or like I hear them, but also what they're saying and what I'm hearing only
like wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It only kind of reinforce the fact that like you're off the mark.
Yeah, that's right. But at least we know why. You know, like the lady from China who was like, I escaped communism, I don't want to go back, like I don't want this country to become communist. It's just like listening to all the people who are like, we're turning into a communist country, which just isn't true, as you would know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also like originally from a communist country, and I think throwing words like we were both like that, the man who like was carrying the Confederate flag and wearing the revolutionary uniform, he like pretty loud that was like, oh my god, like you guys are communists. And I'm like, no, I work in finance. Like I think that capitalism is the greatest economic vehicle that has like really saved the world in many ways, and also has obviously impeded. Anyways, long as I'm not gonna go down the road.
There are like systemic issues with capitalism, but if there were no systemic issues in capitalism as an idea, isn't super harmful.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, especially when you think about medicine advancing. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
This wasn't relevant.
But
it is relevant, sorry. What I was saying wasn't relevant. That guy also kept asking me questions, like he would be like, when was like blah 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 founded? And Mark would be like, blah blah, like the answer, and then Mark would be like, do you even know like what the Soviet Union is? And the guy would be like, no, sure, you liberals.
Yeah, no, it was like really, yeah, it was complete avoidance of a like an intelligent conversation.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's sad and terrifying that professional organs in our government, less so obviously now, but like with the previous administration, actively or passively supported and like allowed these kinds of conversations to go unhinged.
Yeah.
Because it was in their best interest.
And like unchecked. I feel like the frustration I feel with all the Republican politicians who didn't say anything, the ones who didn't agree with Trump's rhetorics, it just feels so unbelievably devastating that this is where we ended up. And it's not like it was just Trump, it was everyone who was silent was, you know, either didn't care or think it was in their best interest. It let people be so misguided.
Totally. And there were others, like Maryland's Republican Governor Larry Hogan, who had a very, very public argument and backlash against Trump.
Why wouldn't they say anything?
Well, one could argue that it's like a power play, which I think it ultimately it is, especially when you like lean back into the fashion thing, right? Like you have, it's very the definition of like who a reactionary is, right? You have people who see others who are rising to prominence as radicals, and so they respond to radicals by becoming a more active reactionary and really taking that right wing to the furthest extent. It's just a shame that science and truth are the sacrificial lambs of the right. That being said, like there are also moments where like the Cuomo nursing home incident.
Yeah,
and
no,
like
Democrats do it also. Obviously, Democrats aren't holier than thou. It's just like in this instance where you're backing a Republican president even after all these terrible things come out. All his like sexual assault cases, everything he said about women, all the racist comments he's made. There were so many steps that Trump got to be in power and no one said anything. And there's never been a Democratic president like that.
Or Republican president.
Or Republican.
There's never been anyone like that in contemporary history of America.
Is there anything else you want to say? Any closing remarks?
Yeah, this channel's awesome. I think it's so cool that you do this.
Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, disclaimers, we have no professional, I haven't read any of the primary sources on any of the CDC guidelines, and I don't know. I really want to emphasize that I'm not an anti-mask sympathizer. The point of this isn't to be like, oh, it's to be like,
it's
I don't
wrong,
know, what is
but
the
it's
point?
every day.
It's wrong, but like,
I don't know, just like an open forum for like our thoughts.
Yeah, let us know
what you think, what you've seen.
Think. Yeah, we're inviting it, okay? So if you write something mean, we invited it. Power move.
And I think it's hard to, I'm gonna assume here that your followers are not of this mentality.
Yeah,
although you've received some crazy comments.
Think about Margaret's recent video.
True, yeah, exactly. So like, if you feel differently, then at least myself, like I'm happy to engage and do more research and drop links that you think are helpful, but like don't make it any like weird like .org kind of thing that's like sponsored by like 3 shell companies and I don't believe this .org. And if your response is that like, oh, well, the National Institute of Health is not a credible organization, then you just got to reassess that. Like that's on you.
Anti-modern science.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
We're not gonna
like I'm happy. Yeah, like come with like legitimate, and it can be like contrasting or like contrasting information, but like I need to see like, well-regarded experts in the field who are saying something.
Yeah, because if you're not an expert and we're not experts, we're not going to read something that's not from an expert. Thank you so much. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know if you want more videos with Mark, if you want any other content. Yeah. If this gets 100,000 views, we will post the footage from the anti-mask rally.
100,000 views?
Yeah.
It's ambitious.
I don't really want to post it.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Okay, thank you so much.
Bye, guys.